The skies of Atheris were the first thing that struck me, dark purple swirls splitting open with silver lightning, as if the planet itself was angry. I had been deployed only 10 minutes earlier, still adjusting to the gravity that pulled just a little harder than Earth's. My suit's stabilizers whirred as I stepped through knee-high grasses that glowed cyan with every footstep. Corporal Jace Riven, reconnaissance. I whispered into my comm, though there was no one to hear me. The rest of my squad had been scattered during the landing. Our ship had been hit by some kind of high-frequency shockwave, nothing we'd ever seen. My objective was to find survivors, gather intel, and try not to die. Simple enough. The enemy, according to every briefing I'd ever read, was ruthless. The Karvethi Dominion, an empire of towering, crystalline-skinned warriors known for conquering entire solar systems. They were unstoppable, merciless, and ancient. Humanity was barely an infant compared to them. But what the briefings didn't mention, that one of their greatest warriors would be standing 20 meters ahead of me, surrounded by 6 armored beasts that looked like metallic bears with razor spines. And she was losing. The ground vibrated with the beast's movements. Her glowing blades sliced arcs of red and white through the stormy air, moving with a precision and power that did not match her size. She wasn't towering like the legend said. She was only slightly taller than me, slender but built like a predator, quick, decisive, lethal. Her armor was dark silver, fitted along her hips and shoulders with luminous lines that pulsed like veins. Her eyes burned with a crimson light, framed by iridescent markings that curled down her jaw like scars. And her hair, long, white, almost glowing, whipped with each turn of her blade. It was the most terrifyingly beautiful sight I'd ever seen. One of the beasts lunged at her from behind. "Look out!" I yelled before I could stop myself. Her head snapped toward me, just as the creature slammed into her back and sent her skidding across the ground. Without thinking, I lifted my rifle and fired. Blue pulses tore across the field and exploded against the beast's armor. It roared, spinning toward me. "Oh, this is how I die," I muttered as it charged. I braced myself, but I wasn't its target. The warrior intercepted it, her blade cleaving straight through the creature's spine. She landed inches from me, breathing hard, her crimson eyes narrowing at my weapon. For a moment, I wasn't sure if she was going to kill me. "You are human," she said at last, voice smooth but edged with authority. "You interfere in Karvethi battle." "Why?" I swallowed. "Because you needed help?" Her eyes widened, not with anger, but surprise. "You presume much." "Well, one of them was about to turn you into a pancake," I said. I figured helping was the polite thing to do. She stared at me, not with rage, not with disgust, but with something I didn't understand. "My name is Jace," I added, lowering my rifle. "Corporal Jace Riven, Earth Alliance." She angled her chin slightly upward. "I am Zillera Voss, Blades Worn of the 9th Legion." Her glowing markings pulsed. "Do not presume familiarity."
"Right.
"So, Zillera." I grinned. "Nice to meet you." Her armor flickered. Was she flustered? No way. She was an elite alien warrior. "Cease your smiling," she snapped.
Yep."
She was flustered. And somehow, between the storms, the beasts, and the battlefield, I realized something impossible. The alien warrior who faced armies was blushing. Middle. We moved through the ruined valley cautiously. Zillera's injuries were minimal, but evident. She hit her limp, though the dents in her armor and faint flicker in her blade gauntlet told me she'd been fighting for hours. Her mission, she eventually explained, was not to kill humans or conquer, something I'd always been taught. Instead, she'd been hunting the beasts, which she called Vork hounds, predators unleashed when the Karvethi Dominion split into warring factions. Our empire fractures, she confessed quietly as we took shelter under jagged black stone. Those loyal to the old ways sabotaged the peace accords. These creatures were released by extremists. Wait, I blinked. You're the good guys? I am nothing so soft as good. She straightened. I am loyal to my empress. That is enough. I studied her expression. Strength, discipline, fire, and beneath it, exhaustion. You know, I said, for someone who claims not to be soft, you saved my life back there. She stiffened. I did not save you. I eliminated a threat. That was going straight for my face. Coincidence. Uh-huh. Sure. Her markings glowed brighter. Oh yeah, she was definitely blushing again. We continued through the valley, trying to reach higher ground so I could signal my unit. But everywhere we went, Vork packs prowled. Some parts of the terrain seemed to shift, like the planet was alive. At one point, the ground opened beneath us, without warning. I grabbed Zillara's arm, pulling her back as stone collapsed into an abyss below. Her body crashed into mine, her armor warmed through my suit. Her face was inches from my helmet visor, and her crimson eyes widened again. You pulled me to safety, she murmured.
Yeah.
That's what teammates do. Her gaze softened, just a fraction. I am not your teammate, she whispered. You keep saying that, I replied. But I'm starting not to believe you. The glow on her cheeks returned. We stood like that for a heartbeat longer than necessary. But the moment shattered when a deep roar echoed through the canyon walls. Zillara immediately snapped into battle mode. That is no mere hound, she warned. It is the brood alpha. Fantastic. Bigger monster. As we approached the cliffside, the ground shook again. Harder this time. Lightning tore open the sky. A monstrous silhouette climbed over the ridge, 4 times larger than the creatures we'd faced before, spines jutting like spears, eyes glowing blue instead of yellow. The brood alpha. It let out a roar that rattled my bones. Zillara activated her blade. Corporal Jace. Stay behind me. I aimed my rifle. Not happening. Her head snapped toward me. You're fragile. Breakable. A single strike would. Zillara. She paused. I'm not leaving you alone. Something shifted in her expression. Something slow, warm, dangerous. You are reckless, she whispered. You say that like it's a bad thing. She inhaled sharply as the monster lunged. The battle was chaos. Zillara moved like lightning, each strike carving glowing arcs across the creature's armor. But the alpha was fast, too fast. It slammed her against the rock, sending cracks through her chest plate. I fired everything my rifle had, pulse bursts, grenades, even the emergency flare launcher. Nothing did more than scorch its hide. Zillara staggered back to her feet, wiping blood from her lip. Jace, run. No, obey me. I stepped between her and the beast. Not a chance. The monster charged. And I did the stupidest, bravest thing of my life. I leapt forward, grabbed a jagged protrusion on its back, and hauled myself upward as it thrashed. Zillara shouted something in her language, something furious and terrified, but I held on. When the creature reared, exposing the softer tissue along its spine, Zillara understood immediately. She jumped, her blade plunging straight into the vulnerable spot. Light exploded across the canyon. The beast roared, bucked, and collapsed. Silence fell. Then I felt a sharp yank as Zillara pulled me down from its back. She gripped my armor tightly, her breathing ragged, markings glowing bright crimson. You reckless, foolish, maddening human, she hissed. Her hands trembled, not with rage, something else. You could have been killed. But I wasn't. You risk everything without thought. I smiled gently. I was trying to impress you. That stopped her cold. You, her voice broke. Impress me?
Yeah.
You're impressive as hell. Strong, brave, loyal, and I hesitated. And beautiful. Her mouth fell open slightly. No words, just glowing cheeks. And the unmistakable realization that she didn't know what to do with a compliment. I am a warrior, she whispered finally. I face armies. I break siege walls. I command legions. Her eyes softened. No one has ever called me beautiful. Well, I said, they should have. Her breath caught. For a moment, the storm above us quieted. Ending, we made it to the high ridge just as the storm began to fade. My emergency beacon blinked weakly, but it still worked. Rescue would come. Zillera stood beside me, staring at the skies of her fractured world. Her armor was dented, her blade dim, but she stood with pride. What will happen now? I asked. My people will hunt the extremists who unleash the brood packs, she replied. I must return to my legion. I frowned. And what about us? She faced me fully then, her gaze intense. You are unlike any human I have encountered, she said softly. You fight without hesitation. You speak without fear. And your words, she hesitated, cheeks warming again. Your words strike deeper than any weapon. I stepped closer. Zillera, do not, she whispered, raising a hand to stop me. If you speak what I think you will, I fear I may not be able to turn away. Her vulnerabilities stunned me. This warrior, this unstoppable, legendary warrior, was afraid. Not of monsters, not of battles, but of feeling something she'd never been allowed to feel. I don't want you to turn away, I replied. Her lips parted, trembling. A distant rumble echoed through the sky, approaching human dropships. She exhaled shakily. Your people arrive. You must go. I swallowed hard. Zillera, this isn't goodbye. Her expression flickered. You cannot promise that. Watch me. The dropships landed behind me, kicking up dust. I stepped backward, slowly, not breaking her gaze. Zillera raised her hand, just slightly, as if reaching for something she couldn't allow herself to hold. Jace Riven, she whispered, voice rough with emotion. Your compliment, it will follow me into every battle. Know that. I grinned. Good. Maybe it'll make you blush again. She actually let out a soft, choked laugh. When I boarded the dropship, I turned for one last look. She stood strong against the wind, silver armor gleaming, markings glowing faintly, watching until I disappeared inside. As the ship lifted off, I pressed a hand to the glass. I'll find you again, I murmured. Down below, Zillera Voss, blades worn, warrior, legend, tilted her head as though she heard me. And she smiled,